people are meeting. Yeah, okay, fine.
Your voice is low.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, now you're audible.
I'm okay. Hi, viewers. We're extremely sorry for the delay. There was some connectivity issue. I know it's being a live session. We had some connectivity issue. Well, welcome to my show, Chat with Anu. Um, my name is Anuradha Shri, and I'm a coach for career communication. Today, due to COVID, we have lots of disturbance internally and externally. Well, mental health is really required, which is more required for that. Mental health bounds far more than the absence of disorders. There are numerous dimensions when you think about positive mental health. One among which is resilience. Today we have Dr. Rohini Raj, JJ, who is specialized in resilient development skills. To talk about her achievements, it's quite a big list. I think she will be telling about her achievements. Welcome to our show, Dr. Rohini.
Is there an interruption?
Can you hear me
No, I'm not audible. Hello?
now?
No?
Am I audible now?
No, there's some interruption in the voice.
Okay, because hello, hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. So, Dr. Rohini, can you just tell me something about your achievements, please?
Yeah.
Or do
So,
you want me to say? Go ahead with that. It would be nice if you go ahead.
yeah. So to start with, let me start with my career. So from almost 4 years, I'm working as a part-time lecturer where I handle for degree classes for BCW, Bachelor of Care and Welfare. And apart from that, simultaneously, I was also doing my PhD research work. Now I almost completed it and I received my doctorate in home science. And I have attended a lot of national and international conferences as part of my research work. And apart from that, published many articles and papers related to my field. So I have worked a lot on resilience, especially for teenagers or in a technical term, adolescents. So this is a age group between 12 to 18 years. So I have worked on developing resilient skill for them so that how they can face life despite hurdles, how they can find a path for themselves. So this is my major area of interest, and I've given a lot of workshops for adolescents, parents, how to handle adolescents, and I also conduct a lot of puppet shows where I use it as a medium of instruction to, attract the audience. So, and I also conduct a lot of creativity classes for younger ones, that is 2.5 years to 4.5 years. And I'm also tagged with 2, 3 NGOs where I go and help out the adolescents who are facing some kind of hurdles. So this could be a crisp, short intro about me.
Yeah, I would also like to add up Dr. Rohini's achievement. One is that she is a passionate human development expert who believes in empowering the youth of the nation is a first step in changing the future of a country. That's really lovely. Okay, Rohini, may I know what is resilience? What do you mean by resilience?
Okay. So, what do you mean by resilience? So, to start with, resilience is nothing but it is an ability of an individual to bounce back to challenges of life without harming self or society. So, this is a technical term, or generally we define it this way. But in a common language to put up is everyone have hurdles, everyone have challenges. There is not a single person in this world will tell I'm happy and I didn't have any problem in my life. So there will be personal problem, academic problem, or problems related to your work sector, your work life. So despite this, how we bounce back and come back to normal is known as resilience. And so this could be a crisp intro on what is resilience.
Okay, so may I know how do you build this resilience?
Yeah. How do you build this resilience? The question looks very simple and small, but it is a vast area. It is not a very small area, but a very, very vast area. If you take resilience, resilience has its own dimension. So we can start developing resilience. Dimensions can be like we have physical resilience, we have academic resilience, we have psychological resilience, then spiritual resilience. So there are a lot of areas of resilience. So apart from that, we have different models. If it comes to children, so we have a set of models where we use to build resilience for children. When it comes to adults, we have a different model. For a working adult, we have a different model, and for teens, we have a different model. And most of the time, resilience is used during disasters or any kind of present situation during this pandemic. So how resilient they can be. So we have a different model. So for a general public, what they can follow or how they can build resilience is, I can quickly give few things to do on a daily basis. First, to be resilient, an individual should have goal or aim in life. They should have a focus. It can be a short-term goal or a long-term goal. It depends, but they need to have a focus. So the goal should be in such a way the first thing. Every individual need to have a goal. It should not be like I get up, I do my work and I finish. It should not be in this. So first thing, a resilient adolescent or a resilient individual will always have an aim in life. And next important thing is connection, social connection. I'm not talking about the connections that we made in social media, but the strong connections we it is a handful of people we have with us. So when we are in trouble, when we have any issues, we can go to them. It's a trustworthy connections that we build. So the wider the network we have, it's good for us. Like if there's any issue, we'll have a circle of people to help us out. So I would always advise you have a good network of people in hand. And next, problem solving. Every day we have one or the other and one or the other hurdles to solve problem. But when we see people, some by heredity have that ability to solve problem, but some don't have. You know, they get stagnant and they start losing hope. So as a resilient person, they need to start developing this skill. Like how can we solve our problems? How can we find ways? How can we think out of the box to solve problems? And next important aspect of building resilience is your inter and interpersonal skills. So interpersonal skills is something within yourself. Within yourself, as individuals, I would suggest that everyone knows their own strengths and weaknesses. Usually, when I ask, many will be like, they will tell one strength, one weakness. After that, they'll just be wondering, what do I tell? So when you start understanding yourself, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, so it becomes easy for you to work on your weaknesses and how can this strength I can use it in a productive way. So we need to know ourselves internally. Next is interpersonal relationship. I think you would be better to tell about this, but I would just give a gist. We have to communicate because everyone have certain barriers of communication. We are comfortable communicating with our known ones, but in an unknown crowd, it's really difficult. So interpersonal relationship is very, very important. How we communicate and what way we communicate. Sometimes the tone of our voice decides, the other person will be like, no, she's a bit rude. So we need to, internally, we need to start understanding how. So this is the next aspect that in building resilient skill, interpersonal skill is very important. Then apart from that, there are so many other skills, but these are the major components I would tell that people develop and they work on it so that they be a better person. And always I tell people, let it be the children or adult I meet, I always tell them, you do your self-evaluation. So never compare with another person, because their level of exposure, their lifestyle is completely different from you. So always do your self-evaluation. How I was a month back or a year back, have I improved? So what are the changes I can bring myself, maybe personally, academically, or in your work profile? So what are the changes I can do? So maybe these are the quick things I can generally to build resilience. Yeah.
Good, Rani. I think you gave a lot of information. I think most of the people should not compare with anyone. That's what we always say. That the more you start
Yeah.
comparing with others, things go up. Where you are.
Correct.
What else
Yeah.
to say about this? Am I audible to you?
There was slight interruption. Now it's fine.
Yeah, because it looks like this. I mean, I couldn't hear you much. There was a
Yeah.
break in voice. I would like
Yeah.
to say, like, how can adults use resilience during this pandemic?
Yeah. So during this pandemic or during this COVID, it's very, very much required, because we are, we had a routine pattern, we had a different kind of lifestyle, but now during COVID or this pandemic, we have a lot of restrictions, and the routine pattern is changed. For any other, it could be the routine pattern is changed, and handling the stress level. I see many of them are telling, I'm not able to be at home. And if you see, when I talk to people, when I interact with them, so there are different sectors of people. There are some people who tell, I have lost my job. Because of this pandemic, my company is not able to pay me. I have lost my job. There is another sector who's telling, I'm working from home, but there is overload. There is a lot of work that is there. I feel working in office was quite better than working at home. And there is another sector who is in search of a job. So there are different sectors of adults majorly during this pandemic who are having a lot of stress. So what I would tell is, for these people is, first you need to understand and accept the reality. First part is accepting the reality. So you need to accept the reality. That doesn't mean you're giving up in life. So presently you're accepting the reality, and you are also you should also think in such a way that you're not only the person who's facing the stress. Throughout the nation, there are people who are facing the same level of stress. One nation, throughout the world, there are people who are facing the same level of stress. So you should not think that I'm all alone and I'm only having this stress during this pandemic. But it's the entire world. Everywhere there are people who are suffering. So first is you accept the reality. So once you accept the reality, what happens is you start identifying your own boundaries. For example, during this lockdown, you don't have a lot of, you cannot access more. Accessibility of going out or meeting people is cut. Something within your house or within your safe zone, what you can do. So once you get this clarity, next steps would be discovering something new. So during this COVID, you have a lot of time to discover. So maybe people who are working maybe for 6-7 years, they would have completely forgot their hobbies or some skill they would have had within them, but they would have never even implemented it or never even practiced it after they got work. But now they have time. There's a lot of time for them. So they can discover new things, find new things. So this will help them to, not be stagnant or idle. What I see, near my neighborhood or people, most of the people I interact is, most of them have decided the situation of this pandemic is going to remain the same. This year is going to be the same. So this is not a right mindset. We cannot think like, no, we are all have started comforting themselves during this pandemic, and they started believing situations won't change. But what I suggest is, as adults, you need to think beyond that. Sure, every problem will have a solution, same way this pandemic also will get over. But once post pandemic, what is your life? What are you going to do once the life is normal, once you're back in form? So how you're going to reframe your life? So that should be your thought. You should start working on that. So when you work on that, once everything is normal, you won't miss, oh, being at home was good. So this word won't come. You will be excited to know everything is fine now. I'm happy. I'll go back and I'm going to, go back to normal, and I'm going to prove myself to myself. So that is how the attitude should be. So I think this is how they can handle pandemic.
Good, Rani. I think it's all about the mindset, as you said.
Correct. Correct.
And moreover, I think you have the tendency
Yeah.
that is more required due to the pressure. What you said, like some job, there is some work pressure, and some looking
Yeah.
for a job. It takes long time. So you said you have 4 years of experience in this.
Pardon?
You have 4 years of experience. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
May I know, did you face any challenges?
Yeah. Challenges. Every individual has challenges. It's not only me. Like if I ask anyone, everyone will have like some kind of challenges at a different level. Can you hear me? Hello?
Trained, 2 years, I'm a 2 years kid. Am I? That's what you said.
No, you're not audible. Hello.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. You said that you have trained from 3 years old kid, right, until the adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you face lots of challenges. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you do that? Can you please share that?
Yeah. So, see, there are many challenges I also have faced, like during the course of time. Personally, there was a lot of challenge, and when it comes to academic, because during my research work, I combined, like I was working plus I was doing my research work also. So that also was a challenge for me, and even in my work sector, there was challenge. But apart from this, if I could filter out and remember something and tell. One of the challenge which I faced in the past and still it is continuing. I just wanted to tell on that. So in my BSc, I had taken home science as my subject. So why did I take was it had 5 different streams. That excited me a lot because most of the streams were like once you do a particular thing in your MSc, you can go forward with that. But I had a 5 different options. So it was nutrition. I can be a nutritionist, fashion designing, textiles, interior designing, and resource management. So there were different fields for me to choose. So this excited me, and with a great excitement, I joined the course. Then the other side comes wherever I go with my parents or when I meet my old friends or whomever I talk to, they would ask me what you're doing. And with full pride, I used to tell I'm doing BSc Home Science. And they were like, cooking, stitching. So the tone of the voice and the way it was literally putting me down. It is not just cooking and stitching, but beyond that. But I used to come back to mom and ask, mom, why are they asking me? It's literally like I feel they're putting me down. It's not nice. And my mom told, you need to tell, maybe they're not aware of what you're studying, what is your subject. So then what I did, I started interacting with people and telling, no, it's not only about cooking, or the terminology you're giving it as cooking also is wrong. We study nutrition aspect. So that's very, very important at this particular thing. And stitching, it's not stitching, but it is fashion designing. So I used to start explaining to them, and I also started posting most of my whatever activities we used to do in the college, that I started posting it on my WhatsApp and in my Facebook. So that is when people started having an awareness. Okay, it's not just cooking or textiles, but it is beyond that. But this was during my BSc, but this didn't stop. Now almost I'm Dr. Rohini. Whenever I tell I have received a doctorate in home science, and they'll be like, doctorate in home science, but you are talking on psychological aspects. How is that? Then again I need to tell them. So this challenge is never ending for me. So whenever I go, wherever I go, always I have an explanation. And it's not only me, it's my senior, junior, and the present generation also has the same challenge. So this is one of the challenge that is there for me for a long time. Yeah.
Yes, very nice, Roni. I think you need to explain people because some people have a very blind belief, like you say, home science.
Correct.
You
Correct.
know, it's cooking, all that. So, good.
Yeah, that
Because
correct. The taboo is fixed. There is a taboo that's fixed in the society. It's cooking or stitching. So
very common, so nothing to worry about it. And you also
yeah.
That's really good. And I've also heard about the presentation. You've done some international. Okay, I saw your write. Your write-up was at, yeah, let me go to that. I just want to tell you that also to my viewers.
Mm.
Yeah. Uh, the publications, remember this?
Hello?
About, your publication,
Yeah.
present publication, many papers in both national and international conferences. Can I have some detail about it?
Pardon?
The,
I have an interruption.
is it audible? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, very much.
Yeah.
Regarding your presented, you presented many papers in both national and international conferences,
Correct.
and many research papers in journals, and you've written some articles for college magazines.
Yeah.
Something with that article.
Yeah. So there's a lot of presentations nationally, internationally I've done based on my research work. So first thing is I need to thank my guide, Dr. A.H.M. Vijayalakshmi. So she was the one who introduced resilience to me. I also was not knowing resilience. Then, how we talk in a public, addressing a gathering is completely different from a professional conference. So we have our own ethics. So in the beginning, I was not aware. I was like, generally talking. Then later, my guide tuned me on. She worked with me and she started understanding what are my strengths. And there was a lot of learning. And more than that, conferences is just not doing publications, but beyond that, there's a lot of connections we make with researchers or the people who are related to our field. So a genuine connection will always help us. So these connections will take us a long way. It's not only for the research work, but anytime our mentors are mentors. Whenever we call, they will help us out. So that is a part of the presentation when it comes to publishing articles. So I started learning how articles should be written for a research kind of setup. Regularly we write articles, that is general it would be, but in a research form we have certain rules. So for example, we have a term called abstract. Abstract is nothing but a gist. A person who's reading it, we will maybe it is for 5 to 6 lines. Quickly they will read it and they will understand entire research work or what is our results and findings. So how can we compress the entire 4 years or 3 years of research into 5-6 paras? That was a really tough task, but as I started working and publishing a lot of articles and in many research journals, I started getting this knack. So how can we compress where we are giving the right information, same time it is very crisp. So these are the learnings that I had with my publications and presentations.
Okay, thank you, Rohini. Well, so do you have any piece of advice to our viewers?
Yeah. So before going to the piece of advice, I just wanted to talk a little bit about children and adolescents. That is my major area of research line. So during this pandemic, most of the adults and most of the people think that children are at home, there is no school for them, nothing to study, they are very happy. This is the thing that most of them we are having in our mind. But what I wanted to tell is no. The answer is they are really, really stressed. None of the child want to stay at home because they wanted to go to school, they want to meet their friends, they want to play. And more than that, adults or children have excess of energy. They have more energy compared to an adult, because the entire day they are completely packed. When they were going to school, early morning they have to get up, have breakfast, go to school. There will be almost, I think, 6-7 periods. They'll have different subjects, everything they have to sit, listen, understand it. Then in between they'll have breaks, they need to go play and have lunch, talk, fight, giggling. All this will be there. By the time they come, almost 60% of their energy will be gone. And then they'll have homeworks, then extracurricular activity, karate, dance or drawing, painting, different classes they are involved in. So all this where, whatever energy they were having, it was coming out and they were also relaxed. But now I feel everything is being curbed for them. They are at home. At the most, they are given gadgets, mobile phones, computers, or television. Only these three things are there, and parents are also not aware how to occupy them, and their stress level is really high. Since they are not able to, they are not knowing whether when will school start, whether portions will be completed. When I go to school, how much of pressure will be there on me? All this are there. So what I would tell parents is, please don't think that your children is very happy at home. They are really stressed than us, and especially specifically 10th. Everyone knows that 10th standard students are even more in a higher pressure because their exams are being completely delayed. They are not knowing when the exam is. The date is being postponed twice, thrice, and they are into such a stress level. So more than the stress level, when a child is in ninth, the society starts asking, at least in Indian context, they start asking, so you are in ninth, next is 10th public exam. So they start, the society itself creates a pressure in them. And now during this pandemic, I think 10th graders have even more stress level. So as parents, what I would tell them is, first, give them a lot of books to read, maybe story books, or if they are interested in reading, just you go out, buy some books or online or somewhere, occupy them so that they have, they start reading. And if you have your school books, schools, if they have given any books or you have purchased it, make them a timetable. Allow them some timetable so that they can sit and study, and engage them with the hobbies they like. Identify what are their hobbies, maybe painting, drawing, or you buy them those things so that they also engage in them. And I would tell, whether it's a boy or girl, engage them in household chores, because that will take a lot of energy. We do household chores daily, we don't feel that it's that stressful, but it's a lot of exercise for children. Involve them sometimes in cooking, cleaning. So this all is very important to relieve the stress, and they don't be idle. And you can also help them be socially responsible. So maybe if your child is good at drawing, give them an idea. So why can't you draw something related to this COVID situation? Why can't you draw a picture of a policeman or a doctor, or write some caption? Or if you're good at writing poems, write poems about COVID. I will post it. So this will help the children to be like, yeah, I am doing something for the society, and that will give a sense of motivation and happiness to them. So never make the children ideal, or never give them a gadget, and play a safe game. You just because you are busy in some work, don't give them gadgets, but instead of them, give some work that is productive and useful. So this I would tell for the parents and the teens. So my last suggestions will be for everyone. Accept the reality that not only you, everyone are facing pandemic, and life would not be the same. We will come back to normal, and situations will not be the same. There are so many people who are working day and night to save us and protect us. So we need to respect them, and try discovering new things, identifying your inner talents, and don't stay ideal, or don't come to a conclusion that life will be the same. Always have hope that life will change. What as individuals I can do to better my life. So work on this, and I would finally tell everyone that wear your mask, stay at home safe, and very important, social distancing, and follow the government rule, and never take this pandemic very lightly. I see that people have got used to it and they have started taking it very lightly. So never take that lightly. And finally, thank you, Anu. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity, and so that I was able to share my knowledge to the community. So that makes me very happy. Whatever I have gained, I'm giving back to the society. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohini. That's wonderful. I would say we have to engage in making masks. That would, let us see.
Oh, we enjoy, right? That's the reason.
Yeah. Let us see. Is there any question? Yeah. Okay. Well, Rashini is coming up. Priyadarshini. She's saying hi, Yaruni. I'm so proud of you. Next one we have Kavita Gowda.
Hi.
Yeah. Gede Virasa. Sumit Garg. Rami Venugopal. That's her name. I'm not able to get more. Okay. Must be. I think they're still joining. Okay. Thank you, my dear viewers. Vijay Rathod also joined. Okay. Fine. That was really a beautiful chat with Dr.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Let me know the answer on. I think whoever has missed out, I think it'll be on live. It will be recorded. They can have the.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming here. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you. I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.
Sure.